Hey guys, it's Fernando and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about why you don't need anyone. I know, I get it. Today, more than ever, we feel like we need a partner. We need a large group of friends. We need followers on social media. Otherwise, we feel like we're missing out. But the thing is, we don't really know where those people are at. For example, we see a married couple and they look happy and they're traveling and they're doing this and that and they got two kids, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Or we see someone that, hey, how come they have 10,000 followers on Instagram? We don't know if they bought their followers or not. So I want to get into why none of that really matters today. So first of all, I want to start with the fact that maintaining romantic and social relationships requires a lot of work. It's never going to be easy. It requires a good amount of nurturing. So let's start with the romantic aspect of relationships. Say you're a single guy. Either you just got out of a relationship or you've been single for a while and you want to meet somebody. You're like, hey, you know what? It's a good time in my life to bring somebody in and to partner up and to see where this thing goes. Maybe we date for a while, or maybe we get engaged, get married, have a family. Now, where does it all start, right? And you can start with just going out there and trying to meet someone organically, and that's fine, right? But what a lot of guys do is they go out there for the purpose of meeting women. Now, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. They get ready, they dress up, they call their friends, they say, hey, we're going to go downtown, we're going to go to this bar, we're going to go to that bar, we're going to go to this club, we're going to go to that club. And they see women, and now all of a sudden the pressure is on. It's like, whoa, now I have to go out and talk to her. And they feel nervous and they're sweaty and they're not themselves. And they're not talking to them as they normally would just talk to anyone, say they would meet, at a coffee shop, right? During the week when they're just their normal, relaxed, comfortable selves. And there's something organically wrong about that. I don't think that's natural at all. Something else that men do nowadays is what they call the passport bro movement. And that's when you go to these specific countries to date, right? To meet women. Maybe you want to hook up with them or possibly, marry them, bring them over to the US, or you might want to end up staying in their country. But again, the pressure of the whole trip is to meet a woman, right? So it's like you're spending thousands of dollars on a plane ticket, on a hotel, on Airbnb. You're on websites, you're trying to, set up your dates when you go there. But again, the purpose isn't just to go to this country, explore, take in the culture, meet people, learn language. And then if you happen to meet somebody along the way, hey, that's great. That's a bonus. That's not the purpose of this trip. Now, let's say you're here, you're in the US, and you're just going to go by I was going to call it the old school way, but really it's the way that people meet nowadays, which is dating apps. So where does it all start, right? You download the app. I'd say the two most common apps nowadays, at least for a quality match, is Bumble or Hinge. So you download Bumble or Hinge, and you try to upload the best possible pictures that you have, and you try to create a fun and an interesting profile that makes you look in the best possible light, which you should. You absolutely should make yourself look in the best possible light, because that's what everyone's going to do. No one's going to try to make themselves look bad. And you start swiping. Right? And you start swiping, you do the suicide swipe where you're just like, okay, I'm going to get some matches here. And all of a sudden, you start getting upset because you're not getting matches, or you're not matching with the woman that you want to match with, or you match with the woman, you get excited about it, you send her a message, and then she doesn't reply back, and you send another message, and you send another message, right? You start getting very anxious. Hey man, what's going on here? But the reality is as they say, right? A lot of times on these apps, it's a numbers game, specifically as you go higher up the food chain, right? The more attractive the woman, the harder it's going to get to try to connect with her and match with her. And so that's going to create a sense of difficulty. But let's say you do connect with someone and you start chatting with her, and next thing you know, you ask for her phone number and she says, yeah, that's fine. Here's my number. Give me a call or send me a text. You reach out to her, you set up a date, you go out with her, and you have a date, right? And let's say it goes well, right? Because a lot of times these dates don't go well. Like you go on one date and that's kind of it, right? Sometimes you go on the second date and third date, but rarely does it ever last to the point where you're going out with someone to say 3 or 4 months. Say you're at that point, 3 to 4 months, right? Now, this is what's happening now. Essentially, now you're going to adjust your life to be with this person. Now, it might not seem that way, but that's the reality, right? So say, for example, you had plans to go on a trip somewhere and you tell her, hey, I'm thinking about going to X, Y, and Z place. Say it's Mexico. You want to go to Mexico City and do a food tour and check out the Mayan the Mayan, what they call them, the pyramids, the Mayan pyramids, right? And you want to do a few different things. And she goes, nah, I've already been to Mexico enough times. I think I'm good. I don't think I ever need to go back. How about instead we go to who knows, right? How about instead we go to Iceland or something? And you're like, all right, it's cool. I'll go to Iceland. Let's go to Iceland, right? And you start to make these little adjustments with her, right? And things start to get serious, and you invite her to move in, maybe a year or so down the road. And she says, nah, you know what? That's your house. I see it more as a bachelor pad. Why don't we get our own place? And you're like, well, I actually own my own place, and it's a bigger place, and I think it would be ideal to, for us to, move in together and to start a family and whatnot down the road. And so you end up renting out your house, you move in with her, you now live on a different side of town that you don't really want to live at, and you're really adjusting to the way that she kind of wants to live her life, right? Rarely it's the other way around, really the other way around, where she's kind of going along what your plans are going to be. And so you're starting to no longer feel like your true self. You start doing things that normally you wouldn't do. But hey, you're trying to please her, you're trying to make her happy, and you're looking at the end goal. The end goal is that you want to be married, you want to have a family, you want to, you want to again raise the kids. But the reality is you start to lose a part of yourself. Now, there's a few things that you can do in this situation. Obviously, you can speak up, you can kind of tell her how you're feeling, and see if it can come some kind of resolution where you're both gonna be happy. But the reality is, a lot of men I've spoken with, and from a lot of videos that I've watched, a lot of times guys feel like they are in too deep. And once you're in too deep, it's hard to back away, right? You hear this all the time. I married the wrong woman. What did I do? Now it's too late. Now we have kids. Now this has happened. That has happened. There's actually a great post on Reddit. There's a guy, his name is John. He's from Australia. At the time, he was 46 years old. I think today, it's 9 years later, he's 55. But he talked about when he was 20 years old, he had all these plans to travel the world, to write a book, and to do different things. But he got married, he had kids, and he says, this is not going to happen, and it'll never happen. My kids don't really love me. My wife is not attracted to me, or I'm not attracted to her. But this is kind of the life that I chose, and I'm just going to stick with it, right? From here until whenever, right? And that's no way to live. It's absolutely no way to live. Now, let's talk about social relationships, right? Friends. It's very important to have great social relationships. We don't want to, be a hermit, that's for sure. We don't want to just be on our own and by ourselves for our entire lives. But many times people, what they do is they try to make friends, or to try to enter social circles that maybe it's not the best possible fit. Let me explain, right? So it's Friday night and you're home alone and you're bored as shit. You're like, man, it's 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. I wish I was out and about, or I wish I was doing, X, Y, and Z, right? I wish I was at a bar with some friends, or, a happy hour. So what you start to do is you start to just text random people. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Hey, do you want to come out and meet me? I'm over here. I'm over there. And that's fine. Maybe a couple friends do come and join you. You try to make the most of it. And then you go from there, right? Again, you just try to make sure that you maintain those relationships. But that can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of work to nurture these relationships where, say you're new to a city, right? And now you're in your 30s or you're in your 40s. It's not that easy to meet friends anymore. It's not like when it was when you were in high school or in college, or even when you first graduated from the university and you now have your first professional job where, you're around a lot of other recent grads and you're able to kind of continue the college life a little bit, right? But now at this point, it requires a lot of effort. You got to nurture these relationships. You got to stay in touch, whether that's through social media or by reaching out to them, calling them, texting them, showing interest. Hey, happy birthday. Congratulations on the promotion. Hey, I saw that you got married. You had a kid. And again, as I mentioned, this is all great because you do want to maintain friendships. But I'm going to tell you a way that I think it's a better way to live. And this is where you don't need anyone. Yes, that's right. Where you don't need anyone. Where anyone basically in your life is a plus. Now, there are people in your life that I guess you could say you need them, right? Your parents, right? Your parents, or if you do have, kids of your own, children of your own, or you are already in a relationship, or you're married. Of course, those people, they're already in your life, and you want to nurture those relationships as much as possible. But let's say you're at a point right now where you're almost at zero, right? Almost at zero. Take this approach. And this approach is essentially go live your life on your terms. Go do the things that you want to do, and let's see what happens. If we go back to the whole, situation we talked about, romantic relationships. Now, what approach, well, I'll put it this way. How different would it be if you just went about and lived your life, right? You didn't worry about going out and try to get phone numbers or nothing like that. You're just a guy with a good attitude, positive spirit. It's got this aura about you. When you're out there interacting with, say women throughout your day, you go to the coffee shop, you go to, who knows, right? The post office or the grocery store, you might have a natural connection. And isn't that better than if you're out there trying to force it at a bar where you're, hey, what's up? Can I buy you a drink, or where you're from and what's your name? And that kind of feels kind of awkward versus it happens pretty organically, right? And then all of a sudden you just, invite her to do something that you want to do. You want to, you want to go to Top Golf. Hey, I'm going to Top Golf on Friday at 7 p.m. If you're free, would you like to join me? That's so different than if you're trying to sit there and plan a date to see, hey, what's your schedule like? When are you free? When are you available? What would you like to do? I have a friend that tries to get guys to take her to all these expensive restaurants. And like, that's her thing. Hey, if they don't want to take me, somebody else will, right? And so don't play that game. Just play the game of that, hey, or it's not even a game, but just, hey, I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. Would you like to join me? Hey, Gladiator 2 is coming out. I've been wanting to see Gladiator 2. Would you like to join me? It comes out in November. Yes, I'd love to join you. Let's go. And it's the same thing with social relationships. You don't want to, have friends for the sake of having friends, because now you're doing activities that you don't enjoy. You're going to different events, or, maybe a music festival, or, for example, I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff, like Coachella, where you go there and you spend 3 days, or what's the EDC in Vegas and you live in tents and things like that, right? It's not my thing. Right? I wouldn't even say I'm a big camper. I've only camped a couple times in my life, and I think if I would camp, I'd maybe do it for a couple days. But it's like you want to essentially live your life on your terms, and whoever wants to be a part of it, hey, they can be a part of it. Because now having friends or being in a relationship doesn't feel like so much of a chore. It doesn't feel like it's that much hard work. It's within the flow of your life. Now the criticism can be, hey, you're being selfish. It's all about you. It's only, you only want to do things that you want to do. And yes, to a point, that's true, right? Like, you are basically setting the parameters of your friendships and of your relationships. But the reality is this, is that there are times that you'll still go ahead and do something that you don't want to do, but you're not living your life where that's what you're doing all the time. You're not a people pleaser, right? There's nothing wrong with making people feel good. Attending their events and sending them, compliments and gifts and whatnot, right? But you don't want to live for that. You don't want to live in a world that's a tit for tat. Hey, I did this for you. You should do this for me, right? Hey, I went to your party. Now you got to come to my party. You don't want to live in that world. You want to live in the world where you go about your life. You're doing the things you want to do. You're having fun. You're achieving your goals. You're ambitious. You're challenging yourself, and people want to join you on your journey. And along the way, what's probably going to happen is probably going to meet other people who are on the same journey that you're on. It's okay if your social circle evolves. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to keep the same social circle for your entire life. It would almost be impossible if you do that, right? And the same thing, it's why a lot of marriages don't last. And some that do last, say they last 30, 40, 50 years, many of them, they end up being like roommates. So my final point or take here is this, right? Is that within you right now, you know what you have to do to be happy. Go do it. Be that person. Now, if you like more, if you enjoy this type of topic and would like to see more videos like this, Hey, I'd love for you to comment on what you thought about the video. Like, subscribe to my first video in a while, but I plan to start creating more videos in the near future. This is Fernando, and I'll talk to you guys soon.